Hello everyone, this is Bob and Threadbare, and welcome back to Deus Ex. You can see over there, that's actually the overpass that leads into the mall.
Not advisable for tourists to visit the canals at night.
That's the way to Tenochi Road, but we won't be going down there just yet.
Come by in the morning. Sampan rides, 5 credits. What business do you have here at this hour? I said not safe, go home. We made notes of anyone who visits the canal. I said not safe, go home.
So there's nothing actually that you have to do when you're here. But there is a lot to discover if you take the time to explore. Like these guys.
50.
75.
Both 75.
You know, for some reason, I have this desire to rearrange my inventory. I'm sure it won't come up.
WO Globe, original 1 kilo bricks, pure, 90 for both.
Hey, you!
Who's that?
You made a big mistake, homeboy.
Yeah, that was my big mistake. You guys are right. Now, nothing else down this alleyway. Just a couple of punks who didn't realize who they were messing with. This is a mysterious door. Strength infinite. You gotta wonder what it's hiding behind there. As if it was hiding nothing, it would be barred like that other door I just passed. You know what? I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna show you just what it's hiding. Surprisingly, it's actually not that much. See this little alcove here? Yep, it's a ladder. Up from the canals themselves. Weird that it's an infinite strength door just for that. In any case, we've got this barge here. Now, much like the other barges we've been into, we can barge right in and find something inside worth taking. I thought maybe something was there, but no, there's just the one hatch right here. 4 picks? That's not gonna happen. There we go, much better. No one around here to be bothered by explosives. Although, there's this slight problem of toxic damage when you're down here. That's curious. There's ammo for all 3 of the heavy weapons. Interesting that they've got that stacked up together like that. Oh, it wasn't that bad. Down to maybe 50% bioelectric energy, but all in all, a good use of time. Now, this whole area here that I'm walking down is sort of one of the long bars on the H. Also, another locked door that we're going to find out what the hell that's for later. There's nothing up here, but there is a ramp. Good. 2 lockpicks. That helps make up for the whole bunch that I spent, but this gets us to the giant-ass sampan up here. Oh, didn't notice that. This little room up here, but nothing in it, but that's a little interesting. Oh. Hello there.
Good evening, sir.
Slow night.
Not at all. Everyone requires sampan now that the Triads destroyed Canal Road Tunnel.
Why'd they do that?
Fighting in the tunnel, sir. 5 nights ago, now it is caved in and flooded.
That must have hurt the shops in Wanchai.
People have died. Yesterday, 4 Europeans arrived, treasure hunters. They are here to dive in the ruins and loot the bodies.
Must be the year of the vulture.
It is an ugly business, but a profitable one. They have given me a commission if I can sell the weapon mods they have already recovered. I have modifications for accuracy, reload, and recoil for 750, 600, and 400.
Weapon mods? Aw, you shouldn't have.
I'll take the accuracy mod. Wait, I've got to drop something first.
That's no problem. 3 weapon mods means drop a sword, and I can fit them all.
Ready to buy?
I'll take the accuracy mod.
Very. Ready to buy?
600 for a reload mod. Deal.
Very good. Ready to buy?
Here's 400.
Very good.
Nice. This is going straight onto the crossbow. Reload speed, that's... My sniper rifle can still be boosted by that. And recoil goes on to the shotgun, quite naturally. We've also got some extra crates down here. But I'm going to need my sword to actually break them open. Ah, crap. I don't even need a med kit. I don't even need any med kits anymore. I mean, I've got enough bio cells to take care of that thanks to regenerate... Oh, data cube. Engine compartment. That sounds like suggestion. Because it's not like you can see an engine up here. Ship's wheel doesn't do anything, but maybe if I play with the lanterns. Neat. Yeah, it's just one pick. 150 credits? Not too bad. Yeah, free repair bot for the Canal's map. That's going to come in handy. Especially because of the amount of ground you have to cover. This is one of the biggest maps in the entire game. Unfortunately, speed doesn't work while you're swimming. I think I mentioned that before. But this is the point where it really comes up, because this is also one of the wettest maps in the entire game. Are you seeing this? Because there's something really weird about this spot. Yeah. Try and figure that one out. I don't know, I guess there's another part of the map which gets a little too close to the surface. So there's a collision at the top of the waters, or something, I don't know. But then there's also this. Very sneaky. Man, I am definitely glad I spent a point in swimming at this point. Hey! Rebreathers. Can't really get out of these pipes from here. Yeah. I keep trying to be done with the prod. So, up we go. There was also a water pocket down there. Might have come in handy, but... Well, when you got swimming, it's not that much of a problem. So, what's over here? I think this is the central part. And this would be the other side of the H of the canals. Now, over here, we've got the red China hand. I think that's what... Oh, no, old China hand. There it is. So it's a much quieter bar than the other place, but there's someone here who wants to meet us.
Paul Denton, I have the blueprints. I must warn you, Oh,
Warn me about what?
I have made a mistake.
Paul's my brother. What's the problem?
No, I have made a mistake. No, I am sorry. I must say nothing. They would kill me.
You can trust me. I really am Paul's brother. You said something about blueprints.
No, I do not know you. Maybe you work for VersaLife.
VersaLife. Good. We're getting closer. You might as well tell me the rest. If I'm gonna kill you, you're already dead.
He paid me, okay? I only did it for the money. I have the blueprints of the VersaLife building, 2,000 credits. And I have the other things he wanted, the scrambler grenade for $12.50 and the thermoptic camo for $4,000.
What did Paul want with VersaLife?
All he said was not to get caught and to tell nobody what I did.
You know, the blueprints might come in handy, but it's not really worth 2,000 credits.
I'll check back with you.
Still, it is worth a look.
Okay? I will sell to you.
Give me the VersaLife blueprints for 2,000.
Excellent. Tell no one.
Alright, let's see what these are. Oh, the VersaLife building itself. Haven't been in there yet. Helipad facility. We have been there. Hong Kong Market. That's directly underneath the VersaLife building. And we've already seen this. This was the public ad. So there was only really the 3 images, and only one of which was of a place I have not thoroughly explored yet. And since I was going to thoroughly explore it anyway,
I take care of you. Special price.
I'm taking my 2,000 back.
Romantic. A boat? Yes. I know where it's dark. I take care of you.
What?
I'm looking for someone called Tracer Tong. Heard the name?
I know you. I know who you are.
Yeah?
You work for the Luminous Path. You should be dead now. But you left Hong Kong just in time.
You have me confused with someone else.
No, it was you. Miss Chow told us. You are the American who helped them steal the sword.
Really,
You cannot stop the Red Arrow. They will control China as they control Hong Kong very soon. You will not leave Hong Kong alive. I will tell Max 10 that you have returned. Bad mistake.
I guess Old China Hand must be one of Paul's hangouts.
Many bargains at Old China Hand. Everything 8 credits.
heard the name Tracer Tong?
Tong, yes. Friend of Luminous Path Triad. And by extension, enemy of the Ray Air.
What's his reputation among the locals?
Sure, by fair. Very well connected. You want to buy? Biomechanical augmentation?
Just curious. Is there a lot of crime in Hong Kong?
Much more than before, yes. Now it's very easy for the smugglers.
What kind of smugglers?
Slaves, heroin, biotech.
Is there really a slave trade?
Oh, sure. Visit Lucky Money underneath Wen Chai, the Ray Air headquarters. Of their girls, they are kidnapped in Thailand or the Philippines. Not a pretty business.
What sort of biotech smuggling goes on?
Mostly VersaLife, the golden triangle of biotech.
Why would a multinational corporation smuggle their products on sampans?
Import restrictions in many places. The United States, European countries.
On what?
Certain genetic advances, laboratory organisms, also tiny computers in your tissue.
What's VersaLife trying to develop?
Everything, the second man.
The second men?
English author, Ola Stepton. You have not read?
Afraid not.
Last and the First Man, history of 19 species of human beings. I can't believe you do not know this book.
I'm not big into books. You know of a Maggie Chow?
Maggie Chow, a bad character. Before she was an actress. Now she's everywhere in Hong Kong politics. They say that she's a spy.
Who does she spy for?
No one knows. Somebody paid her a lot of money once, and one of the Ray Airs ended up floating in the canal. Dangerous to talk about.
It's a very well-read bartender. Looks like the only thing worth grabbing in there is the med kit. We already got rid of my supply of those. Just more junk food in the freezer. Or refrigerator, actually. The freezer's out in this way. You can tell because it's got the ice physics. And actually, just on the other side of it, we've got, apparently, the sampan loading dock, where they get their supplies. But there's also something else in here, not just the knife. No, it's the most infamous secret area of the entire game, and I call it infamous because of the sheer amount of time and energy it takes to find the other end of this thing. This is crazy. I mean, the only reason I found this is because originally I was, look at the tunnel just keeps going and going. But yeah, the only reason I found this place originally is because I was fooling around with, well, don't those med packs look familiar? I was fooling around with no-clip, and so I found this area here, and I had to backtrack to find out where the hell the other end of it, where the hell you could access this place in the first place. And I was utterly surprised to find out that you had to go through a hidden ventilation duct in that one particular freezer. So anyway, this is the collapsed part of the Canal tunnel. And there is something very useful to find at both ends of it. I already have enough of the sniper rifle ammo, go figure. But then there's also a laser mod. That's going on the stealth pistol. Like I said, I'm determined to make it the most dangerous pistol-based weapon I have. And the practically cheating laser sight mod is definitely going to help with that. It's about as kitted out as I can get it at this point. You know something else that's interesting? Despite the fact that there's a canal road in Wan Chai, there is no canal. They covered it up years ago. So I would assume the comprehensive canals they've got here now, in the future, I imagine that this is how they're dealing with global warming. Like, all of this would not have been underwater just a few decades ago, but the water level's been rising, and so now they use canals to get stuff to places that still remain. I've been so busy with other stuff, I forgot to remark on the baby Karkians I just killed. Oh well. That's the other thing to get. Another upgrade canister. That alone would make this whole trip worthwhile. Even though I have to fight 3 tiny Karkians. And actually, yeah, that's what got this poor guy. Turns out he survived the collapse, but he was pinned to the ground. There wasn't nobody's going to be able to rescue him, so what happened is that the Karkian eggs he had hatched, and I presumably ate his face. Something that sadly the models cannot quite account for. Although now that I've got some empty spots, I figure I should grab a few of these medkits back. Yeah, that's the other thing, actually, is that you don't need to use a rebreather to breathe underwater. It can also be used to counteract gas-based damage, since you're not breathing it in. It's a rebreather. So that was the longest secret in the entire game. But it's not the only one left here in the canals. There are a few other places I'd like to visit. before I consider this place completely swept. Oh, and one other thing. Just a quick correction on last week's corner. Apparently democratic isn't quite the best word to describe White Russians. I mean, some of them were democratic, but some of them weren't. Ultimately, the two sides in the Russian Revolution were...
I was walking here. Get out of my way. Just about had enough. Always one eye on my pocket. You Versalives think you own everything. Sick of experiments.
Well, aren't we irritable? But the two sides in the Russian Revolution basically boiled down to the guys who were winning and everybody else. Ideology really wasn't a factor until one faction finally beat the others. It seems like it was mostly useless. I mean, I guess it's a way up from when you're in the canals. And that's actually convenient because there's this other place with access only through swimming through the canal. Pretty steamy down here. And gonna save me a lockpick. You can only carry 20 rockets. Nothing much for my trouble, though. Nothing I don't already have in spades.
Not much activity down here.
Activity? What kind of activity?
Anything. The canal's dead.
They've added a section for nighttime. Nevertheless, there's traffic, even when you don't see it.
You mean heroin?
Illegal products, of course, but you find everything in the canal. Things that have been lost. Things people want to get. Last month, he was the leader of the Red Arrow. He was floating near my house.
You saw the body?
My name's in the paper. I saw the cut across his neck. They are right. It was colorized.
It was what?
Colorized. The scientific terminology. Someone cut him, but it was a weapon that cannot be explained with the current technology.
What else do you find? Do you sell it?
Are you? Are you a tourist?
Just curious. I hear the triads control all of the smuggling in Hong Kong.
Yes, the triads do it. I am the simple merchant. I receive only fruits and vegetables.
By sampan? But you said...
Yes, fresh, from my grocery store in the market.
Right. I will have to stop by and take a look sometime.
My store is now open in the evening. Come in the morning. We have a fresh new shipment of durian.
No thanks.
Be careful who you talk to about the triads. I'm busy. Go now. Maybe people show up dead in the canals, not just triads. I'm busy. Go now.
Doesn't look like there's anything to do with those particular windows up there. I'm pretty sure there's something hidden around here somewhere. I can only just find it. Oh, wait, there it is. Yep. Just stole that guy's last 50 credits. And this is that other mysterious door we couldn't open from above. So that, I think, takes care of everything. I've discovered every secret the canals have to offer.
Not advisable for tourists to visit the canals at night.
So next time we will be going to Tenochi Road. But now, JC may not have read Stapleton, but I have. So, welcome back to Literature Corner. I'll be covering 2 books today, because I think the second is as important as the first, so let's get started. Last and First Man. The novel starts out with a few chapters regarding the future history of the first species of humanity. That's us. In the preface, Stapleton explicitly says that he's trying to write a tragic fable rather than any real prediction, but it's still pretty interesting to read what he considers to be a plausible future. Here's the really short version. Sometime after 1930, when the book was written, France actually goes fascist, and not Germany, and it starts a war with England. Both nations are decimated by a bombing campaign, which is to the loss of the entire species, because apparently England was the sole home of satirical self-criticism, and without them humanity is doomed to degenerate into self-absorbed morons. Now I mentioned that Stapleton is an English author. This and that happens, and the first world state forms in the year 2300. Unfortunately, it's dominated by the United States, and between that and the steady degeneration, society becomes basically idiocracy, but with less trash and more airplanes. As such, they are unable to handle running out of fossil fuels, and in the subsequent fighting, someone accidentally lets the rage virus loose and civilization falls to a zombie apocalypse. The survivors eventually scrape together a second civilization after 100,000 years, but it's not quite the same. Plus, when the Patagonians try to go after atomic power, they wind up igniting the atmosphere and a few mountains, rendering most of the Earth uninhabitable, save for the Arctic zone. Thankfully, there was an Arctic expedition at this time, so humanity did not kill itself off completely. Over the next 10 million years, the second men evolved, the first real improvement on the old design. They're taller, stronger, smarter, and live 2.5 times as long as first men, including a proportionally longer childhood. They're also far less selfish, although wars and misunderstandings are not unheard of. Curiously though, all that selflessness and pacifism, along with a greater weakness to disease, wind up slowing their growth technologically, and so they take 250,000 years to build a high-tech global community. Unfortunately, just before the second men can start dabbling in genetics, the Martians invade. Now the thing about Mars is that it used to be verdant, but once the atmosphere and water bled away, the only things that could survive were essentially airborne spore colonies that absorbed water from the thin atmosphere and photosynthesized directly. They could also control their movement with magnetic fields and communicate via radio waves. Independent clouds were individuals, but they could at times awaken into a world mind, which isn't greater than the individual exactly, but at least more vast in experience and perception. After 350,000 years of occasional conflict, the war finally comes to a desperate end, and the second men unleash a virus which exterminates every last Martian on both planets but kills nearly every human in the process. And thanks to second men's emotional sensitivity, this destruction causes the human race to sleep for the next 30 million years. The third men wind up being something of a throwback. They're smaller, weaker, and more selfish than the second men, but they have incredible sensory organs and an ingrained love of animal breeding. After a lot of fits and starts, they discover genetic and fetal manipulation, and set about remaking the natural world and then humanity itself. And so enter the fourth men. The fourth men are brains in jars. They are gigantic fucking 12-foot wide brains in jars, with a tiny vestigial body and fully grown arms hanging underneath. Not long after the first one is created, the third men put him in charge of the planet, as you do. And he creates a whole bunch more, each in constant psychic link with one another thanks to the integration of leftover Martian spores. However, the giant brains live for nothing except pure intellectual curiosity, and in the process of realizing that this isn't a balanced approach to life, they go a little crazy and kill off the third man. Still, they decide to create the fifth men in order to discover this balanced approach. And so the fifth men are as perfectly engineered as you can imagine. More efficient neural patterns, more effective bones and muscles, a 5,000-year lifespan later extended to 50,000, and even a natural telepathy without the trouble of a group mind. The fourth men try to dominate the fifth as they did the third, but the fifth men win and go on to build a civilization whose peak lasts for millions of years. They even discover a way to see into the past through the eyes of those who lived it. But that's when the moon starts to fall. It's not supposed to, but as it turns out, there's a sort of spiritual energy too minute to be measured in today's humans, but the fifth men produce enough of it to affect gravity in the local area. Mars by this point is uninhabitable, so they look to Venus, which in 1930 was thought to be a hot aquatic planet rather than the carbon dioxide-rich volcanic hellscape we know it is today. There's a lot of terraforming and a few extinction events, but the fifth men eventually make the jump over. Even still, life on Venus is hard enough that civilization collapses until the sixth men, fully adapted to the environment, arise. For the next 200 million years, they struggle on until they unlock the secrets of the genome again, and use it to create the seventh men who can fly. It's really quite clever. They use the hollow bones to act as additional lungs to get around the oxygenation problem that birds have to deal with. The Birdman Society lasts another 100 million years, but then a change in geology makes flight difficult and the mutated, flightless birdmen take over. They soon create the eighth men, more suited for ground life and better engineers, though not nearly as sensitive as the second or fifth men. During their reign, they notice that the sun is about to collapse. But then they find an errant stream of gas about to enter the solar system, set to collide with the sun and make it even brighter and hotter. So rather than moving to Mercury, they find themselves forced to create a ninth man, capable of living on Neptune. And this time, that is in spite of Neptune being a gas giant. While there's no native life to trouble him this time, the ninth man is woefully under-adapted to his environment, and it takes 600 million years before the 15th men, equal to the second, appear. Without a Martian interruption, they create the 16th men, a match to the 5th, and it's all uphill to the 18th and last species of humanity. The 18th men at last manage to create a sort of supermind, greater than its parts, unlike the Martian type, via a sexual union between groups composed of all 96 of its sexes. The group mind can see through time itself, but sadly, a strange energy infection causes the sun to explode prematurely. The 18th men find that they cannot leave the solar system without going insane from the emptiness, and so, 2 billion years after Homo sapiens sapiens first appears, their last descendants die. Star Maker. Last and First Men covers the second longest time period of any fiction book I've ever read. Star Maker is the first. Star Maker covers the history of the universe and beyond. The quiet backwater of the solar system is nothing more than a brief footnote. As the book begins, the narrator finds his mind lifting off from Earth, and, unable to go back, he ends up traveling through space and time to another planet. The inhabitants are very close to humans, aside from how taste and smell are their strongest senses, and they're a bit more insane than we are, except they really aren't. The first few planets are a very Swiftian critique of Europe in 1937. The narrator eventually figures out how to leave the planet intentionally, and how to find other intelligent life, and he brings an ever-growing collective of alien philosophers with him as he goes. The first few thousand planets are occupied by humanoid creatures in that they have 2 or sometimes 4 legs and an upright posture. But as the collective grows, they find echinoderm people who reproduce asexually via communal spore cloud, massive ship-sized nautiloids, symbiotic fish and crab people, composite intelligences of radiotelepathic birds, insects, or microbes, and plant animals who live on tiny Mercury-sized planets whose atmosphere has long since escaped. As the adventuring collective grows in complexity, it begins to be able to follow species past the human level of development. The races who aren't destroyed by industrialization always unite into a global utopia, at least by our standards, and frequently discover true faster-than-light telepathy, which enables them to construct a world mind, which operates as a second level of consciousness. They also discover interstellar travel, which in this book involves strapping atomic rockets to entire planets and sending them screaming through the void, kept alive by small artificial suns powered by annihilating an uninhabited planet. The utopias do not all get along, however. Some become militant, crusading through the stars to subject other species to their culture and beliefs. Over the eons, they capture or destroy system after system of intelligent life, whether awakened or still asleep, until there are only two powers left: the United Empires of the War Species and the League of Peaceful Intelligences. Some peaceful planets are able to disrupt the world minds of their enemies, but the empires respond by exploding their suns. Fortunately, the symbiotes are a peaceful race which have developed early on their own, even developing artificial planets, and they're able to drive the war species sane all at once and avert the crisis. They then lead the charge to build a galactic utopia, magnitudes larger than anything seen before. However, just as the galactic community begins to tap stars directly for additional power, they begin to explode. Turns out they're alive too, and they don't appreciate us organics mucking with them, even to the point of reducing their own lifespan to get rid of us. The Society of Planets eventually make contact and come to terms with the stars, but only after much of the galaxy's energy has bled away. By the time a galactic mind comes into being, most of the surviving stars are ancient, and by the time a cosmic mind is at last created, the only life remaining exists on the dead husks of stars, the black dwarfs. But with the help of the ancient nebula, it becomes enough. For one brief, shining moment, the cosmic mind sees beyond space and time, beyond reality itself, and catches a glimpse of the Star Maker, an eternal glimpse, as he lives beyond any concept of time. The Star Maker is an infinite spirit, self-limited in order to find self-expression. At first he creates universes of limited design to test one or another aspect of existence, and as he toys with sound, the first self-determined life forms come into existence. From then on, he tests their limits along with his own conflicting desires to create and destroy. Ours is the first mature creation, simple yet infinite, and left to rise or fall on our own merits. Eventually, he creates the ultimate universe, a golden tapestry of perfect creation, which is nevertheless woven with the black threads of suffering. And when it awakens, it is at last an equal to the Star Maker, and the two combine to form the infinite source from which the Star Maker was formed to begin with. Personal thoughts. The books have no real plot, so they're as dry as you might expect. The science is laughably outdated too, but that's to be expected in science fiction over 10 years old, let alone 80. There's an unfortunate amount of social Darwinism and eugenics, but that's pretty standard in pre-genetic evolution theory. Plus, Stapleton has the decency to say that, aside from maybe England, there are no superior cultures, and it's the diversity that's most important. The reason it's a shame that America wins and creates a world state is because every other culture gets erased in the process. That said, no species gets anywhere without first forming a world state, but then governments and cultures are two different things. There are other themes throughout both books, like needing to form a balance between new and old ideas, plus there's a certain fear of aging and disability. Those species unable to get rid of the aging process entirely tend to commit suicide before they can go senile. That said, there is a certain respect for death itself as a way for life to continue. There's also a deep spirituality in every species, human and otherwise, although there's no direct connection to any present-day religion. But if for nothing beyond the sheer imagination and scope that these books provide, I'd say they're worth reading. I haven't included half of all the interesting ideas in Star Maker and The Last and First Men, and if you want to know the rest, you should go find them yourself. Thanks for joining me again in Literature Corner. I hope I'll see you soon.